Time's a hand, boys. We did it. We got Mead out of DC.
We got him out.
That's right. We finally got Walt out of that Turkish prison he's been in for the past 6 months.
To build worlds in person in Charleston, South Carolina, the greatest city in the third greatest state.
Crack open a cold one.
In the Union. It was a great day. We went out for ice cream. Dan got this cute sundae. It was called the Cheat Day. It had
I think it was called the Champion Day.
It was called the Champion Day.
It was the Cheat Day, and they serve it in an iCarly cup, actually. Is what they serve the sundae in. And it's strawberry shortcake and snickerdoodles and caramel.
And I also got a latte that had Dan Schneider's face in foam on top of it. At the same time, it really rounded out the picture.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we had a nice dinner. It's always nice to have Walt in town where we can see him and we know what he's up to.
And we can, if he's doing something that's going to cause some audio issues later, I can just sort of like punch him. He's right next to me.
Wouldn't that cause an audio issue? Like,
I can cut it
doing
Walt's high-pitched yelp at being punched. Actually, we can sync the audio based off of that. So
yeah, we actually could. It would max out the mic. This is 30-Minute Worlds, a podcast where we riff and deliver to you a fantasy or sci-fi setting in 30 minutes or more. We've never actually done one of these where all of us are in person. It's always been a Discord affair, so this is very exciting for us.
And you might have noticed that we're not doing it with all of us in person because Belvin has a high-quality comedy show to perform at tonight.
Yes, go see Belvin's failing comedy show. We love Belvin, we support him.
It's improv. By definition, it's failing.
Belvin's going to skip the failing comedy career and go directly to failing late show career. One season on TBS at the 1:30 a.m. slot.
Speaking of failing, Dan, I think it's your turn actually to be the lore lad.
That's right.
The role that we surreptitiously had. For the listener, the lore lad is the person who must juggle 3 prompt words to create a setting. They get absolute creative control, veto power over any dumb shit that one of us might happen to say.
Executive authority to tell Walt to be quiet.
Regrettably, that's true.
And it doesn't work. It never works.
It works 50% of the time. You'll see it happen here live.
All right.
Well, to you.
Have you guys got some words for me tonight? Got something so we can figure out this quality in-person sesh, which hopefully we don't fuck up horribly.
We got a few in the hopper.
How about fly?
Fly?
Yeah.
Fly.
Okay. All right. A lot of possible variations to that. That's good. We can work with that.
Okay, my word is frame.
Frame. Okay. Fly and frame. And so I need to pick a word as well as the
You do.
lad.
Yeah, you
So
do.
I think
For the listener, he knows this. He's just testing you.
this will be on the test, that's for sure. Fly, frame, and...
Wow.
Yeah, it's nice that we all get sometimes the opportunity to mess up. No, I'm not picking microphones.
I'm just saying.
Stop pointing at the microphone.
Lamp. Lamp is a good prompt.
You can do lamp.
Or lines.
How about podcast, huh? We've never done that.
We actually haven't done that.
Canal is the word.
Fly, frame, and canal.
Canal, yeah.
Okay.
And what I think this could potentially be is a setting. It's always tempting to go directly into airships, but if it could be a world that's beset by a like a great conflagration, like a world ablaze.
Oh, okay.
And people have carved out these corridors whereby you can move safely from one place to another.
Okay.
Corridors in the fire.
Yeah, and so a canal, right, is a body of water that's used to cut through land to make a shorter travel distance.
Okay.
This could be canals of water that cut through these blazes.
Okay.
These wildfires.
It could be a supernatural fire too.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be any sort of it doesn't have to be an environmental phenomena.
Right.
It could be. We've done fire elementals before, so perhaps not that.
Yeah.
But
we've also done like a magical spreading fire that was carried from place to place. So, but that was different. That was very different.
when we've done the colony thing too, so like colonizing a plane of fire is not really what I was going for either. But it could be an attempt to. What if it's an attempt almost to like, not to terraform a star, but sort of a Dyson sphere kind of thing, where like to harness energy from it at these different stations.
I do like the idea of harness, or the aesthetic of tampering with the stars, obviously I like, but doing that at the medieval level, that canals and like irrigation projects, that's kind of interesting to me. So there's a society that's magically powerful, technologically not very powerful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll pose a question then. Is that in the sun, or is it just on a planet that is so close to the sun that it's like almost molten? It's so hot.
I think it makes more sense for it to be a molten world because no canal is going to disperse enough heat to like work in the. So if it's a setting of like of canals on this molten world that are through magic, perhaps the water is super chilled.
Well, here's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Why not be like, you said the world was in conflagration.
Yes.
Which I like because it implies the world was damned to an apocalypse. And they're somehow still living through that. That supernaturally the world is being cleansed by fire, and they figured out a way to eke out lives on a place they shouldn't be alive.
And that's the fly. They're trying to get off this planet.
Oh,
Okay.
that's interesting. Yeah.
There's no future here, but they found a way to preserve what's left of their civilization by bridging the magic, basically, strongholds with these canals. And there's a massive project that's being worked on to try and get off of this planet that is doing
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
What does this project look like? It probably wouldn't be it might be more of a portal type situation than a spaceship,
Yeah.
because that seems above their tech level. Why did their god fucking punish them? Was he a jealous god?
Maybe it's a god of cycles, and this is the end of the cycle, but this time people managed to get a bit further.
I've come up with a new race, and y'all gotta go. I'm doing humans with 3 arms.
Yeah, and it's between their legs. It could be a race of people that are. Could it be like aquatic beings? And like they're able to like almost use these canals as like super highways between these.
I do like that aquatic beings make sense if the fire's like Greek fire and can normally burn on top of like ocean water and shit.
Yeah.
And so eventually they learned they had to enchant specific water from a specific spring and use it to magically weave little webway paths that might not even stay open very long. Throughout the wildfire, it's so hot.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I think that makes sense.
This also, I don't know, it begs the question, why can't they just go underwater to evade a lot of stuff?
Well, if we're talking about the end of the cycle, like this god is ending the cycle, and this planet that is very close to the sun, I do have an interesting idea.
Okay.
So there's this idea in planets in planetary astrophysics, I guess, is that when you take large enough objects and like that are usually orbiting each other at a certain distance, they like will tidally lock. So one face will always be facing toward the planet. It happens when like they're too massive and too close. It happens to the moon.
And we're out of time.
So what happened is that this planet used to not be tidally locked, and it was spinning. And what happened is it got close enough to this star that it became tidally locked. So now one face is always toward the star, and one face is always away from it.
Oh, so is it always like one part of the planet is burning with a greater heat?
One part of the planet is like on fire, and the other one is an icicle.
So they're a constantly migrating species because they have to keep moving or they'll be engulfed as the planet turns.
Oh, yeah.
The planet doesn't turn. I think that's what he was saying.
No, the tides that go in.
It's slowing down. The idea of tidal locking actually is that the tides are happening on Earth, and it is locking the moon in place. It's sort of the
okay.
opposite. But it's these tidal forces are like the actual like I don't want to explain it because Walter's gonna
Daniel
again.
But there's
Daniel Vito, whatever this is.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's not that I don't think it potentially has uses that I don't really understand it.
I don't either.
All you have to know,
and I'm a very smart man,
is that because of some lame gravity bullshit, the planet is getting closer to the star, and because of that, it's slowing down its daily rotation.
I hate
that. Works.
Delve in this, but couldn't we just say God or a wizard did it?
Sure, whatever.
Well,
whatever. What the fuck ever? Oh yeah, God or a wizard did it. Let's just say that about anything. Oh, I got some great books you could read. They're called A Bunch of Shit That Is Unverifiable and Bullshit. Fuck this. I'm gone. I'm leaving.
What if the
jumps out the window?
What if this deity is the star?
That's true.
It's not even like a god who's the physical manifestation of the star. It's literally like a sentient star.
Imagine if it's a possessive star that's why are you guys looking at other stars in the sky? Are you thinking about going there? Are you thinking about leaving me?
Well, because a star can use its ability to cleanse life on this planet, and then it can if it has some limited manipulation of gravity, it can seed life on the planet again from asteroids.
It might not even recognize that, but it lives billions of years. It's just its perspective is there will eventually be life here again.
Yeah.
In my lifespan, certainly, and I can just ride that out because these guys, they were praying to me before and I liked it, but now they're looking at other stars. He's jealous.
That's actually a neat idea. If the primary deity, it could be a region of space that perhaps has less stars. Maybe that's the frame. Maybe they figured out a way to see other stars in a relatively dim region of the galaxy.
Okay, so that's kind of that actually could kind of work with portals too, or frames. So they had figured out that you can, they hadn't figured out how to travel there yet, but they figured out how to project light from a place that's actually millions of miles away into a frame.
Okay.
Yeah, and that allows them to see huge wonders of the cosmos and stuff. And then their god learns about this, what they built. Their god Zom, the living sun.
Okay.
And Zom is very upset.
Yeah. Because Zom wants them. Zom is
Zom doesn't want him to leave.
Yeah.
It honestly, that makes sense. It could be it is, if it's just a jealousy thing, it's I'm the greatest star, obviously.
I created all this shit for you.
Yeah.
You guys would be nothing if my light weren't here.
And also, that bitch Cassiopeia is a whore. You just stay the fucking home. And also, it's in New Jersey. Okay.
I do think space is New Jersey, kind of.
Dominated by trash companies. Okay. So, Fly?
Well, we had said Fly was them going to space. What if Fly is some other... Because maybe they're trying to use the frame technology to go to space and they haven't figured it out. That could be why the star's burning all this shit too. It's if you don't have forests or farms, you can't make frames.
We said spaceships was out, and I don't want them to make a metallic spaceship. But if this is a race of aquatic beings that live under the sea, what if they're trying to form basically an ice structure
or coral? Yeah, some aquatic bullshit.
Seal themselves away in basically a comet, and then use it to launch themselves to another spot in the universe.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
And that fits with the magic and without them building a wooden rocket ship or something.
I do like the frames also being made of coral and enchanted. I think that'd be sick.
Sea rock and shit like that.
Yeah. So the fire is burning. We might scrap the canals, but the fire could be burning the surface. They literally can't surface anymore.
I think canals are a good idea because there probably once was a surface.
But why would they need canals? They're aquatic beings that can go into water.
Okay, so the fire is hot enough that most of the ocean itself is uninhabitable if above a certain point. They have dug canals between the trenches of the sea, the deep, Marianas Trench style affairs, and because that's the only place that there is the volcanic heat from the core to worry about, but they can magically suppress that. But it's so far down that the heat from the sun doesn't just boil.
And they're down to the wire. They're in the crevasse, basically.
Yeah, they've eked out small pockets of civilization in these Marianas trenches.
It's funny because this wouldn't be the place they used to live, and they're a culture that used to worship the sun. So they probably lived very in harmony with the sun near the surface of the water.
Yeah,
and they're not attuned for this civilization down here. They've had to bring light with them and do a bunch of shit.
I like the idea of bioluminescent creatures have a religious fascination for these people. An anglerfish is it's almost like a sacred cow would be. You don't ever impede the path of something like that because even if the sun has betrayed us, the light is still holy.
Yeah. I like that too. And they're not trying to kill their son or anything.
No.
One day they'll return to him
battered housewife species.
Yeah.
Right.
They're just
they believe that they've upset the sun and that they
have. They upset Zom.
Yeah. They've upset Zom.
I do this because I care about you. Because I want to genocide you. I mean, it's cool because their culture would be eradicated. If they had a religious society built around the sun, all their festivals would have been the solstice and stuff. It's all gone now.
I just want to say, one of my favorite parts about doing this podcast is hearing the just isolated phrases that pop up, it's cool because their culture would be eradicated.
It's interesting.
In any other situation, it would that's maybe not a good thing to say.
Interesting is the academics cool.
It is.
It's really fascinating how global instability tends to increase as the military-industrial complex gets more expensive or some bullshit.
Okay, so what were their cities like that they lived in before? They could go on the surface, right, to salvage shit. Mm-hmm. There was land, too, that's been burned up now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a lot of if we're talking about the aesthetics, it would have been a lot of open air buildings to let light through. Probably they would have had the streets would have been spread farther apart, and they would have been lower buildings, so they wouldn't cast shadows.
I want to say, and I'm
sprawling
going out on a limb here.
All right,
can we do aquatic? A lot of people think mermaids. Can we do spider crab people?
Yes.
People, crabs, people.
Yes. I'm fine with we could do a whole ass crustaceans.
We have to redeem ourselves after the spider episode a long time ago.
And that crab episode a long time ago.
That crab. I thought that was the same episode. There were spiders that were fighting crabs.
I think the crab one I wasn't there for.
That was really good. Giant.
That was a really good one. The labyrinth one.
The spider one was not good. I remember that.
Listeners, he didn't say that. We love all our episodes equally.
Yeah, they're all our redheaded stepchildren.
So they're like spider crab people. They're adapted kind of. They have a fascination with space because they think they kind of came from there, and they're right. They're literally we're fucking from a different place than here, and it's cool that Zom raised us.
Wait, do the spider crab people, do they think that they actually look as weird as we think they look?
My idea would have been that life had evolved on this planet, and then it had...
Well, maybe they got contacted by something through the frame. Through the frames they built, they could not only generate light, but also receive things like radio waves and shit. After all, if you're pulling in beams of light from places, you could pull in other wave stuff as well. Mm-hmm. And they've learned there is life out there. They've learned some things about it. Something could have been calling to them. From the frames to make them want to leave their home.
So they figured out the frames, and then beyond that, they figured out that there were signals, magical signals.
There's a signal.
Okay.
There's a signal, and it could be actually, it could be a bigger threat to them than Zom actually is. And maybe Zom is actually trying to protect them perversely.
I think it's a neat... I like the signal. I don't want to define what it is.
I don't either.
I like the idea that it's just like there's something... They're compelled either through curiosity or like intellectual like desire to pursue this. It's caused them to lose their homes. It's caused them to lose their gods. And now it's their last hope.
Because the signal could be so many things, right? It could be a black hole. It could be like their homeworld that still has technology that they came from originally when they came from the stars. It could be anything. And like they don't know, and it's like a religious fixation for them at this point.
Because they've lost their real religion, right? Like the god turned on
when
them.
the ocean heated up, all of them they turned orange and floated to the surface.
They got flash from
God threw a bunch of butter in there.
But they were living on the surface. So my idea for why they're living on the surface, if they are crustaceans can go on land and in water.
Yeah.
I think there was some sort of religious significance attached to when they first left the water. Like they may have been like led out of it by a great leader, or it may have been just that it sort of signaled a new era of prosperity for them. But there's a reason they all migrated out of the ocean onto land. And they
what would
return.
be interesting is if the frames only worked on lands. Underwater, they don't really work. And so they've kind of lost contact with the signal, and they're trying to like figure out ways to get back.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is in order to generate, and they would know this too, in order to generate enough force to launch their asteroid into space from the ocean floor, they would have to destroy the planet.
Yeah, use like the core's explosion to propel them.
Well, if it was a big enough object that it was like containing their entire civilization,
Containing like their Akashic record and like their
their
weird crab books.
yeah, all the books with all the weird crab scribbles. Like,
So we're going. Yeah.
what writing system do crabs use?
I like to think they're like using the modeled skeletons of like thousands of dead to like form like a shield around the ice.
Oh wow, that's pretty metal.
They would be like a bone gatherer society. They're literally like, this is the last ditch plan to leave. God's punishing them. The Crabstar.
The etchings.
So extending his claw to pinch out life.
They have
Oh my god!
They have found an undersea steam geyser, like Yosemite tier, and the plan is to initiate something like a planetary geological movement that will cause a steam eruption that has enough force to launch them,
and will probably blow up the Earth.
Yeah, I assume that they're kickstarting that's like that's the visual, right? Is the steam geyser launching them, this giant ball of ice and crab exoskeletons into space.
Yeah.
And if it's made of ice, what's probably going to happen is the sun is going to hit it, and it's going to like vaporize and actually propel it further away. Maybe that's the plan. But what could also happen is it just melts it.
I think that's the thing, is that's what they're betting on, is they're trying to... And I mean, they have magic, so they have, like...
There's a window. That's why they have to protect it with dung and skeletons of dirt until it gets to space.
Yeah.
It has to have a pottery-hard shell, and the ice has to be inside. Because they're smart. They know the core is hot and that it'll melt the ice.
Yeah.
And they'll have to pass through the superheated surface of the planet anyway.
Well, the only way that this fucking comet thing is ever going to make it out is if it's magically protected in some way. And I imagine my gut...
I do like the idea of the star as kind of a crab extending a gigantic permanent solar flare that's nebulously kind of claw-shaped, just touching, like an arc of lightning touching this planet forever.
Oh my god.
All right, you didn't have me at the start, but you got me by the end,
Yeah,
so we're going to allow that.
The Crabstar.
Crabstar Zom.
Zom is like a good name for like a crab god.
It is, dog.
I don't know why that works.
I'm gonna have to talk to Trent about the gods in his campaign, because he has been lacking a crab.
He scuttles across the sky.
We need more crab deities in every setting.
Yeah.
Okay. What time we got? We got Oh, we're at like 30 exactly.
Well,
hell yeah.
We fucked around for a little bit.
We fucked around. We found out.
What, you guys have any thoughts?
Chessman, I'll let you go first here.
Well, I guess, like, we were talking about, like, what the cities looked like before, and I was, like, trying to think about how that would still be relevant.
I think it'd be like tidal, like they would be on Earth and in water, kind of like in the tidal area. They wouldn't, like, discriminate. You go on land to, like, use the fucking magic frames, and you go back underwater to, like, lay your eggs and then die, or whatever it is
Right.
crabs do.
And they'd have some parties that were on land and some parties that were in the water. Like,
Yeah, they literally would just, there'd be like above grounders and kind of like water dwellers, and it'd largely be mostly personal preference as to what you liked, because there's such a nebulous species.
I think it would look, the mental image that I have in my mind is basically these like sprawling coastal communities of spread out single-story dwellings that sort of form very long-forming, because that maximizes the sun exposure. But there's like, it's grid based because you can then block out these huge areas for use for like lens like monitoring.
I like to maybe mud was a very big building material they had.
Yeah. I'm picturing
below
like
water it would be like shellac or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But now they're in areas where it's so hard they have to literally use the only like resource, like they can't mine stone or anything.
Yeah.
The only resource they have is like their own chitinous shells to use as building material. And they'd coincidentally been casting their dead into that trench for like thousands of years. So there's like a ton of their skeletons down there.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, yeah, I fuck for sure with the burial ground for the trench. I just like I like the mud idea, like clay or mud that's been like bleached white by the sun, basically.
It's kind of a tropical feel.
It's almost like a bone city. Like it's a bleached city. Yeah. I think that's cool.
Well, they're internally destroyed now by the Crabstar.
Yeah, I mean the cities are fucked. Like,
well, then the most fucked thing about them is that they used to be coastal, but because of the Crabstar, they are like the water line has descended so far that it is beneath the continental shelves.
Mm-hmm.
So like the coastal cities are just like kind of on this slope. And
you're right. It's like they're at the very top of a large hill, almost. You're right.
They're on top of a...
And also eternally on fire.
Also.
You have to look up at your fucking homes on fire forever from the darkness of a trench.
Psalm has spoken.
His word is mighty.
His claw, my claw.
When Zom grabs, he does not release.
When Zom grabs, we grab with him. We do not release. Oh, fuck.
We commit our bodies to the truth.
This has been 30-Minute Worlds. I don't have the ending spiel in front of me. We're going to watch Mad Max and fucking chill out. See you losers later. You fucking nerds.
Well, folks, that's our show. If you like this episode, you can subscribe to us on your podcasting service of choice to get new episodes every other weekend. Our art is courtesy of the talented and wonderful Shell Tour at Jovial Paradox on Twitter, and you can tweet at us too at LoreLads, or send us spirited hate mail at 30minuteworlds@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy world building.